After a fairly dismal 25 years or so, the biodiversity word has suddenly started trending. It was all business as usual as recently as 6 months ago at the Biodiversity Conference in Egypt, where not a great deal happened, to be frank. But suddenly there seems to be a zeitgeist, an alignment of the planets of some sort, and biodiversity is getting a lot of oxygen at last. This seems to be the result of the coincidence of a number of factors and initiatives. I can name a number of those. One is the release of the much anticipated Global Biodiversity Assessment Report from the Intergovernmental Panel, which was set up for the purpose. Then, of course, there was the Netflix release of the One Planet series, narrated by the wonderful David Attenborough. There was also a number of movements, grassroots movements, which have popped up, very important ones. One, Extinction Rebellion, suddenly decided to adopt the biodiversity word to add to its usual mantra of dangerous climate change. And then, of course, there's the New Deal for Nature and People, which some of you may have heard of. It's been promoted heavily by WWF, the World Economic Forum, and a number of others. So the engagement and the excitement, actually, that the biodiversity word has created in the media, particularly in Europe, is palpable, and actually it's also measurable using Google tools. And I find myself wondering if some sort of hidden rampart has been breached, something that was stopping biodiversity connecting with society and with people in general. However, I'm not so sure about that, and I think that still needs a lot more consideration and a lot more work. But for sure, biodiversity is trending now. It's still trending today. I checked this morning. But we don't know whether it's going to slide back into obscurity, whether it will just gently keep trending, or whether, perhaps, let's hope, it might be rising and rising and rising until it joins climate at the top of the global policy agenda, which is where we want it to be. There are really good reasons why biodiversity and climate should be up there together and should be dealt with together. They're all part of the same fundamental Earth system, and as I often say, they're only separate in the way that the fingers on your hands are separate. They are part of the same package, part of our biosphere. However, a word of caution: if biodiversity doesn't keep trending, then I think there's a real danger that in our drive for very, very much needed radical climate action, we could end up with people adopting solutions which are anything except biodiversity friendly. So we could see a push for more and more biofuels. We could see a drive for more and perhaps more inappropriate hydropower. And we might see forest restoration efforts and land restoration efforts focusing on fast-growing alien species. None of those are likely to be very biodiversity friendly. So although I think that climate and biodiversity can be dealt with, they can be dealt with together, there is an urgency about it, and we need heaps and bags of positivity and optimism. At the same time, we do need to be aware that there are potential perverse outcomes of the sort I've described. And we also need to be thinking about these and taking measures now to develop the necessary policy and advocacy which tries to make sure that we can deal with them. Thank you very much.